So thank you so much, guys, for joining here. Today's session is about how we can repair the MySQL replication. But it is going to be because we have multiple type of replication. The first one is we have is the traditional one, which is like binary log position and binary log files, and the next one we have is the GTID base. So obviously, when I started my career, it has been a tough time for me because it because most of the time when you go for online, you don't see a lot of information, like the understanding is not that much clear regarding these sites. So I just wanted to know, because to tell you guys that how we can solve these problems in an easy way. So about me, sorry, the panel give you the wrong information about my experience. Actually is 4 year of experience. I have a core experience of 3 years with the Oracle, and from the last 1 year I have been working with MySQL. uh, yes, it's only 1 year, but it depends how much you work for your or how much you work on your databases. That really can change. It doesn't matter how much years of experience you have. Depends how much hands-on you have. So currently working with the Etisalcom Bahrain. Previously, I have been working with the world biggest Chinese telecom company, China Mobile Corporation in Pakistan. And then, yes, I'm a certified Oracle and MySQL professional as well. I have created a course. It is available on Gumroad, and it will be soon available on Udemy. It's called the Ultimate MySQL Replication Crash Course from Zero to Hero. I hope so. If you guys want to learn more, you can go there as well. My YouTube channel is here. It has everything on there. I think I have covered almost everything, like MySQL DBA and InnoDB cluster as well. I'm currently not active much on the YouTube channel because I'm currently working with Percona as well. So that is why I couldn't like focus on my YouTube as well. But soon I will be posting more videos on there as well. Uh, and the next, I have I'm writing blogs as well. You can go for IT tutorial and go for the category in MySQL. You will see there. This is my Twitter and the LinkedIn handle. You can check me for Mughees52. Actually, Mughees52 is everywhere. If you find any site and go for Mughees52, you will might find me there. uh, okay, so what's the agenda here today? Types of problem you face. There can be a lot of problems. You can face data drifts due to multiple reasons. I will show you in the next slide why and due to which reason we can have a data drift. What is data drift? Like some inconsistencies due to some reason. It can be human error or can be a bug and anything due to which you can have inconsistency in your database. Uh, but we can solve some errors, like from if you have some duplicate errors, or maybe some crash happened, and if that transaction is not available in the binary log of the master, and it was available in the master but not in the replica side, so you can skip them. Okay, using the SQL slave skip pointer. Okay, I just wanted to focus on this one because many people thinks that uh, they don't understand like what is behind the SQL slave skip counter. Some people take it as a skipping an error, something at the skipping a transaction only, or maybe skipping a statement, or maybe skipping an element. So I just want to tell you guys more in brief that what is this. Then we can solve the skipping some errors by pt slave restart, and that is a Percona tool which can help you. Like if you have a lot of errors to skip, you can just do run this one, and it is going to be automatically bring back your uh, replica. And then we have how we can troubleshoot the GTID, solving the duplicate key errors. Let's say it was not a errand transaction, but it was some error duplicate key, that the record was already available on the replica, and someone pushed that same record on the master. So obviously it is going to fail on the replica side. So how we can skip that. And the next we have is the errand GTIDs. What are errand transactions? So how we can solve them, how we can find them, and how we can first let's confirm, find them, solve them, insert an empty transaction, or you can remove it from the binary log file. So that's how we can do it. uh, so what is how data drift happens. Any statement that is executed on a primary with session log bin off. Okay, and maybe you did the failover sometimes, and then you went to the master again and somebody executed the statement, you can have this problem. uh, then it was directly replicated, like the statement was executed on the replica. And just a minute. Okay. uh, Next we have is, it can also happen because your replica was not on the super read only mode or read only mode. Whenever you create your master and slave topology, you make sure that your replica is in a super read only, okay, and read only as well. These both should be enabled, okay. Otherwise anything can happen. Even if you have a proxy SQL on top of them for the splitting your data, so it's better, because if your master goes down or anything happen, I have seen problems with the proxy SQL. Sometimes your master goes down, and if your any of your like replica is not on the super read only or read only, proxy SQL can write to both of them, okay. And this is going to be a problem, because what you did before, the proxy SQL could write, you tried to fail over to the other one, and during that time it tried to write on the both side, and you have to like bring your MySQL with the new backup, uh, replica with the new backup. So please make sure it is a super read only and read only mode. So this is the problem. This is how you can solve, you can like avoid many problems. And let's say more things here. Yes, your primary server is not configured for full asset. Full asset means like transaction at commit was not equal to 1, either it was set to 0 or 2, and then sync being log was not set to 1, it was set to 0. So yes, your replica, your primary should be asset full compliance. You can set your like replica to the non-asset compliance to speed up your replica, because there is only one thread which is SQL thread running, and you want your replica not lagging behind your master. So there you can go for that. Even if you it crash and you leave and you like lose 1 second of data, that is still okay. You have a master available, you have a backup, and you can have a new replica as well. Either you can run pt slave SQL, pt sorry pt checksum and pt sync, and then you can have your data sync as well. So it's you can do that on the replica but not on the master. Yes, at some point the primary was not configured for row based replication, and this can also create some problem. uh, why I'm saying this row based application, but in case you have a like mixed base or statement based replication, okay, and you have your slave uh, on another, like on different time zone. So and if you are doing in your insert queries like the date column is like having select now, okay, or date. So let's if they are on both different time zones, then on your replica side your dates will be different, okay. So you need to take care of those as well. So is if you cannot take care of that, go with the row based replication. Go with the row based replication. And there can be more exotic cases, can involve like bugs engine, like different engines we have. On one side you have the InnoDB engine, and you try to use the black hole on the other side, because you don't want to replicate that data on your InnoDB engine. And yes, you can have a version different. Let's say you are from 5.6 to you want to go for 5.7, and yes, it can happen. So you never know what is going to happen. uh, so it's best to follow the best practices on the first case. If you're not, then this is here, you can learn something from here as well. A few things you need to do to prevent and to avoid like going into the bad situations. As I told, always keep your replica on the super read only mode. Verify the asset compliance if you're not using it. Check some after any crash and failure happen, and check some regularly. Every week or every once in a month you should go for a checksum, like your replica and your master is consistent. Sorry if I'm like fast. We'll try to cover it today, all in all, because I'm having 37 slides here. So how to repair MySQL replication? Obviously, if you have set up your replication, it is not possible you don't go without error. You will always face some error. Anything can happen, just as I told you before. This is some kind of sample question, sample error. If you see here, the last error was uh, some temporary table issues, and it doesn't exist. Some table was not there already. An update did happen, and the table was not there, or the record was not there. And so what you have to do is, here you have to repair the replication. Okay, so these are the simple error. Where you can see this error, you can go for the show slave status, and you will see the last error and the error number and the last error. And you can also check from your error log file as well. You will see the error because the replication will be stopped, and it will show you what was the error due to which the replication was stopped. Next, I have some error here. If you see here, the duplicate key entry, this record was already there, and due to some reason, master pushed another record which was already there. So you have another one, can't find the record. Okay, this is something uh, somebody already deleted the record from the replica. Okay, or maybe some transaction was slow or something due to locking and all that. Maybe application was not that good designed, so some problem happened here. And What is the next one here? Yes, could not execute the delete. The first one was the update. Okay, same, because the record was not there. So we have some error with the insert, update, and delete. So these are some sample errors. Okay, first option is how we can solve the problem, these errors. Okay, because these error means the record is not on the replica. So we need to skip this transaction because it's not there. So we have to skip it, so the replication can go on. What is this? How we can do it? If your master is configured using master binary log file and the position, then you can use this one. If it is GTID based, then this one is not acceptable for you. You will have to go with pushing empty transaction. I will show you along with going forward to the slides. What is this variable? You can How do you can set this? Obviously your replication is stopped now. So let's say you checked your binary log files, and you saw that, okay, this is something which I have to skip, or you check the error, and you know that I have to skip it to start my replication. So once you skip that, after that you can go for the checksum, and you can go for the pt table sync. Okay, and you will sync your replication. So what is this? How you can set it? Set global SQL slave skip counter equal to n. And what is the n mean? Okay, some people thinks that it is skipping that error number. Some thinks that it is just a statement, and something that it is going to be a transaction. So what happened here? So by just, if you see here, the definition from the book, you can say from the online documentation, these statements skip the next n events from the master. Okay, this is useful for recovering for replication stopped caused by a statement. It's saying it's an event, not a statement, not a transaction. A transaction is an event, but if you go into a non-transaction transaction table, if your database engine is MyISM, and obviously you started a transaction, and then you did some statement, and then you committed a transaction, but it's not the same for that MySM. Okay, it's not going to be an event. It's not going to be a transaction like that. I will show you. It's getting confusing, but I will show you how it's happening. So if you look closely at the document and the last paragraph of the documentation, if you go there, you see that when you use set global SQL skip counter to skip an event at the result in the middle of a group. Okay, the slave continues to skip events until it reaches at the end of the group. So execution then start with the next event group. So whenever you set this variable to n number, any n number, let's say you set it to 1 in transactional table, in my if your engine is InnoDB, it is going to skip the whole transaction. It doesn't matter you have 1000 statements inside your table, inside your transaction, it is going to skip them all. Okay, if it found that one of the statement was problematic, it is going to skip everything, and then it will commit the upcoming transaction. If you set it to 2, then it is going to skip one, the one transaction, and the next upcoming transaction event as well. So if you set it to 100, it is going to skip 100 events, and then, so I don't know how much data you skipped in the 100. So it's vary to very case vary. If let's say you skipped one and you thought that skipping this one will be enough, and then you skipped second, then you skip third, and you don't know how many more to skip, then there is a solution for that as well, which I showed you here, that pt slave restart. So it will keep skipping until and unless it's find out that okay, till here it's enough, I don't need to skip more, and it will start your replication. So if you see here, I have a table set, okay, on the table Z on the master and table Z on the slave side. If you see here, I have three records on the master side, which is 1 2 3, and I have two records on the slave side, which is 1 and 3. So what I did is that I try to insert like begin insert into select foreign, okay, and try to insert the value 4 into a table, then it's going to delete, okay, where value a is equal to 2, and insert into 5. What is going to happen here? Okay, it will insert 4, okay, it will delete 4 from the 2 from the master, it will insert in 5 into the master as well. But if you see here, what happened here is that on the slave side, it tried to insert the 4 value on the slave side, and then it tried to delete, but the 2 is not there. So obviously the slave will report an error, prompting an error of 1032, as I showed you last time, that the record was not found. So this is what is going to happen, because the record 2 is not found at this time, many dbas will choose to skip the set like this variable to 1. So however, such processing will cause the insert 5 record to not to be executed, okay, the 5 will also not executed, it is going to skip, okay. So it is going to skip, the transaction is not over, and the next event will continue to be skipped. So that is how it's happening. So you need to take care of these things, you need to know what you have skipped and what is going to happen next. So what should I do? Should I like skip, or should I like set my slave execution mode to important? What is important means, if you set your slave execution mode to important on the slave side, any error is happening on your slave side, it is going to ignore it. Some people set it to impudent, okay, and then change it again back to the default value. Once everything is skipped, they go for the pt table checksum, and they do the slave sync. uh, how can I see the chat? Okay. If you have any question here as well, you can ask me. I can answer till here. Okay. So I will continue from here.
Yeah, I think, hi, Mughees. I think there's a question from Sudhakar. He just raised his hand. So,
Yeah.
with your
Just
permission, let me
yeah.
allow
Sure. Sure.
Sudhakar to speak. Sudhakar, I'm just, unmuting for you. Over to you, Sudhakar.
Hi, thanks, Mukesh. Just I have small doubt. This was just I want to clarify because when we using this parameter SQL slave skip counter one means
Yeah.
that means in the replication table someone has deleted or that record is not existing. So that's the
Yeah.
reason replication is stopped. That's fine. If I use this parameter, so it will ignore and then next replication process will start, right?
You have to skip, and then you start your slave, and yes, the next one will be continue if the record is on the like depend on the query. Like if it is the same case, it will go into error again. If it is fine, it will keep going on. But
Uh,
yes, it
for example, I don't know how many records are not there. So blindly, I used the skip counter is equal to 5. If after placing that parameter and then stop slave and start slave, so immediately it skip the 5 transaction, whether it is successful or
yeah,
error
it
also.
is going to ignore them.
Only it will ignore the errors, or even successful also it will
Yeah,
ignore.
it even if it is successful, it is about skipping the event, not an error. Keeping this in
Oh,
mind. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. So we need to be very careful.
Yeah. That is why I'm here for this presentation.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
clarification.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can test this as well, and I've tested it. I will show you in the next upcoming
Yeah.
slides.
Thanks for clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mughees. And we have one more question from Jamshir. Let
Yeah.
me let me unmute Jamshir. Over to you, Jamshir. You can post a question to Mughees.
Hi, Jamsher Khan. Yes. Is he mute or something?
No, yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
he said sorry by mistake.
okay, not a problem. And we have one more question which is posted in the chat by Shubham. So with GTID based replica enable, should we still do data consistency checks to ensure our source replica are always are in constant state?
Yeah, you should do because you never know. Like data drifts can happen. Okay, even if it is GTID. In my in my current environment, current job, we do that. Okay, and it can happen. So doing the checksum is a good thing. You should always go for your consistency check. Okay.
Thank you, Mugesh. I think we shall wait for more questions over the next few slides. You can continue with your presentation.
Sure. So as this said, I did some tests here. If you see here, I created the two tables. The first one is REPL is something because the space is not there. So create table REPL underscore InnoDB. And this one is my SM. I created two table because I wanted to test this scenario both on the transaction table and non-transaction table. Then what I did is that on the slave side, I inserted with the binary logging disabled for this current session, and I went for inserted one record on the InnoDB data InnoDB table and one in the MySM table. Okay, so now if you see here, I have this kind of structure here. On the master side, I don't have anything. I created the tables on the master. Okay, so they are obviously replicated to the slave as well, and then I inserted record on the slave. So if you see here on the replica side, I have one record on the InnoDB table as well. On the MySM side, I have one record as well. So uh, and if you see here on the master side, I don't have anything. So what happened if I go on the masters and I insert some records here? So I went on the master and I tried to insert some record here. Okay, insert into the table, I went for the same record. If you see here, same record. Okay, ID1 and ID1. So one and no, okay, I went for two records. Okay, one is with the same record and another is a different one. So what happened here on the master side, I have two records now, because obviously the master side, it was empty table, so I have two records. It didn't throw any error, so it's going to accept the transaction. So what happened on the slave side? I went into an error. The reason behind is because the first record, this one, and this the record was already there on the slave as I inserted it as a record. So what happened is here the right rows even on the table for, it is having a duplicate key error, and I went with the error. So if you see here, select static from the replica side, I have the same record here. Okay, so now obviously I have to skip this error. I have to skip this not error, but I have to skip this statement. Okay, so I have to skip this like event. So when I skip this event, what is going to happen? Okay, if you see here, in this transaction I have two statements. Okay, so the first one got error, and if I go for the binary log file here on the, sorry, the slide is up and down. Okay. I should have this slide first and this one later on. So if you guys, this slides will be available on the slide share as well, so you can use this same test on your machines and you can know what is happening. So if I go to if I what I have to do now is obviously my, if you see an error anytime, your slave will be still running. Okay, the IO will be still accepting the really log will be still uh, writing, okay. But your SQL thread will be stopped. So IO thread will be running and your SQL state will be stopped, because the error we got, because when we were trying to insert into a replica, then it happened. So it is always going to stop only the SQL thread. So that is why if you set to the SQL slave skip counter to 1, and then you start your then you only need to start your SQL thread. So if you want to know like how to start only one thread, you can how that's it how you can do it, like start slave SQL thread or stop slave SQL thread or any stop slave IO thread, you can do it. So when I set it to 1 and then I started the SQL thread, then I checked the my replication table, okay, the replica inudb, then I have only one record, okay. But if you might have been thinking that why I didn't have this one record, why I didn't have the record too, because what it is that it skipped the whole transaction, okay. That is why we don't have this record. So if you go for the skipping one, skipping the counter will equal to 1, and then you start your thread, go for check your table, the second record will not be there, and you can check your current binary log file and you will see that nothing is there. This is why, this is how it happens, okay. So because whenever the MySQL transaction happen, it is going to be a one transaction with a begin and a commit clause at the first start and the end. So that is why it's only one, it's a total one event, okay. Next we have is, and I tested the same thing for the non-transaction table, which is our REPL underscore MySM. So I went to the master again. What I tried is that I inserted two records on the MySM table, okay. So on the MySM, what happened is here when I inserted two records, yes, obviously I have the same record on the master side is one ID1 and ID2, but obviously it is going to fail, okay. I will have an failure on the slave side, the same error, that duplicate key, okay. And if I check my slave side, I already had this record, so that is why it failed. But if I go with the slave skip counter equal to 1 on the for the non on the slave side and start my SQL thread, you will see that I have my second record. This time my second record is not skipped. Why this happened? Because my SM MySM engine is not an asset compliance engine. It is not a transactional table. So whenever you go for a statement like this, begin, insert like one statement, then another statement, and then commit, it is going to split them. Okay, the MySM is going to split them into two different transactions. That is why it only skipped the first one and it took the second one as a new event. Okay, so both are different event for MySM. That is why it just skipped one and it executed the second record on the replica side. So if you go to the binary log file, if you see here, the begin started here, and if you see here for the first record, and if you see here the commit is here, this record is separately logged into binary log, and the second record is like if you see here begin, there is it's another separate record inserted into the binary log. So both are different here. So that is why uh, on the replica side we didn't got the error for the second one, like sorry, it didn't skip the second statement. So if you, I think you got my point. Yes, if you have any question here, ask me, I can answer them. Yeah, Chaudhary.
I think Chaudhary has just raised his hand. Over
Yeah,
to you,
hello.
Dipendra. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hi, Mugesh. Good
Yes.
morning. So, my concern was regarding this, like whenever you're using this command, skip counter, so that will lead us to the inconsistency of our data in the replica, right?
Yes, obviously.
And then, so what I was thinking, apart from the skip counter, can't we go ahead and just delete that duplicate record from the slave, so that if, like in a one event, there will be many successful transactions will be also there. So that won't make an impact. So that can also be like replicated to my slave. So that would be a like nice approach or not? That's my concern. Like I was asking.
So what you do want to do is that you want to delete that record, yes, from the replica side.
Yes.
Yeah, here you know what I did. You never know what are the records. Okay, but if you want to delete, you can delete them, but yeah, but it's better to skip them and run the checksum and then run the sync. Okay, that will be a good approach, because
Okay, run the
we
checksum
never,
and then
yeah, because we never do deletes on the replica side, never never do things. Okay,
yeah, that's
yeah,
what. So,
yeah,
mhm,
but it is fine here, because
mm,
you have the binary log and the file position. Okay, this is
mhm,
a traditional replication. But if you have a GTID based replication, if
mhm,
you do, if you are doing any transaction on your replica side, even if you want to delete that record, it is going to cause an error transaction. Okay,
mhm,
okay, so because your replica is always master, the future master candidate. Yes, so in future, if you went for the if you want to fail over to that your candidate replica for errand transaction, it is going to fail, because that transaction you did on the replica side, it will not be available on the master. And when you try to you try to fail over at that time, those transaction was not available in the binary log file of the previous master. So it is going to fail it, because the slave will asking for those transaction, it is will not be there on the replica. So this is going to take you into inconsistencies, and you might you might now need another fresh slave.
oh, okay, okay. Thanks. I understood. Like, I mean, so approach is not good. We have to go through checksum and PT sync. That would be great.
Yeah, that will be great.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Ah,
Thank you,
okay.
Mughees.
Any other question here? I know this is going to be a long session.
At this point in time, we don't have any questions as such, but if there is any, I'll keep you posted. You can continue with the session, Mughees.
Okay. So yes, as we don't know how many issues are going to be have, so we can run the PT slave or like the savior here. So if you have like some error like this, what you need to do is that PT slave restart. I didn't provide the username and the password here, because most of the time you save your password for the user in the like the client side of myCNF, and you just need to run PT slave restart, and it is going to skip all the errors. If you see here, it was my error 1062. When I ran it, it skipped this one. So it is going to skip all the transaction for you. Uh, so this is how you can do it. If you have like 100 or or 1,000 of errors, this is going to skip everything. It is I use this when I was doing my tests. I had the proxy SQL, and due to some reason, I did a failover, but my replicas were not on the super read only mode. So everything got inconsistent, and I ran this on the replica side. And yes, it came back, and then I have to go for the PT table checksum and PT table sync, because obviously my data was not consistent anymore. Sometime you might have to go for the fresh backup and reseed your replica with the fresh backup. That is also a good point if your database is not that huge. So yes, uh, but mostly we like if you have these many errors and PT table checksum is not going to solve the issues, it's better always to go with the fresh backup. Okay, but yes, sometimes happens is that the user create that someone create a user on the master, okay, and somebody deleted the user from the replica or something like that, or the master, let's say we have a record. Okay, let's say we have a user, okay, which is available in the master and the replica as well, but somebody deleted that master that user from the master with binary log off. Okay, somebody like at session day was somebody turned off the binary logging, and in that delete was not replicated to the slave, and next time somebody came in and they tried to delete the user from the master, then obviously that is going to be an issue. So it will fail. So you know that it is only a delete statement, so you can skip that. It will not cause any inconsistency, but like you can at this time you can go for deleting the user from only the replica side, if you have only master and binary log file position. So some cases where you can go for deleting from the replica side, but it's not recommended. Okay, you should not at the first place, the binary log shouldn't have been disabled for the session level. Okay, so this is a PT slave restart. You can do it, and there is a good chance you will have a master, then slave, and then slave 2. So PT slave restart, if you are running on the slave 1, okay, then it's okay. It is going to pick the master UID of the okay, sorry. So it is because if you are running a what do you say, a GTID based replication, it is always based on the master UID. So if you run the PT slave restart on the slave one, then it will automatically pick the master its UID and it will be the master. But if you are running on the slave two, you will have to provide your slave your is master UID, and you can do that with the dash dash master UID. You have to provide it that slave one is my master, and then it will going to skip the errors based on its own master. So that is how you can do it. And you can also mention some error number. Let's say pt slave dash dash restart space and error number equal to 1062. You can go for the documentation and you can done a lot of things from this one. Yes, obviously the third option we have is that yeah, I don't have enough time, and this is going to some issues here. I just want to take the fresh backup and reset my whole database. It almost just the same, only you need to reset the slave on the binary if it have a traditional one, and then take the backup and then restore it. If you have a GTID based replication, what you have to do is that you have to reset slave as well, and you have to execute the reset master on the slave as well, because you want your GTID executed set to be empty. If it is not empty, you cannot set the fresh GTID purge variable, because you will get into error. So if you are going to reset your replica, okay, then for like a GTID based replication, reset master command is also, you have to execute the reset master as well on the slave, not the master, on the slave. ah Troubleshooting GTIDs. Yes, so it's the same error. Some duplicate key error happened here. Okay, so I think, sorry guys, I had some interruption from the LinkedIn. uh, so yes, we got the issue here. Our SQL thread is stopped because of the duplicate error. So now if you see here the master status, we have this much execution is happened on the master side. Okay, and so yes, now I have to skip. If you check the error here, this much from 182 to 188 are the retrieve transaction from the master. Okay, these are the GTID set which are being uh, executed, like retrieved and executed is 1 to 187. So 187 is fine. Okay, which one to skip is the next one, which is the candidate, it is 188. So what, how I'm going to do it, I will set the GTID next. What is GTID next? It's tell that this is going to be your next transaction you have going to execute. So what we are doing here, that we will provide 188. Okay, this is the UID of the of the slave server. Okay, and we are going to do that. Sorry, it is the master, sorry, yeah, the master one, it is going to be the master one. Okay, so we are going to skip it, because we are going to skip only the 188, not the 187, because we already have it. So the next one is 188. You're not going to write it as 1 dash 188. Okay, you should be writing it as 188, only one, because this is a log sequence number, so you have to provide which log sequence number you want to skip. So combining the last sequence number and the UID, it's become a GTID. So you're telling it that this is your GTID next, you're going to skip it. So what you are going to do, because your slave thread SQL is already stopped, so just go on the slave. Okay, if the master is available, you will do it on the master. Okay, if the master is not available, then you will have to execute this statement all over your slaves. Okay, and then you will have to decide which one is your favorite candidate to be the next master, and then you will promote that as the master and bring all the slave behind that. Okay, so let's skip this one. How we do it, we are going to inject an empty transaction. Okay, so we will set this GTID is equal to next is equal to this GTID begin and commit. Then we will set the GTID next is equal to automatic. So next time it is going to skip, next time it is going to take the GTID next. GTID next is automatically, okay, based on the algorithm of the MySQL, how it is doing. And then you have to start the slave, and then obviously, because the next GTID was 188, so it is automatically executed on the because it is empty. It doesn't have any statement. It's just going to insert that value inside your mysql.gtid executed table. So yes, that is done. So how do you detect the and solve the errand transaction? What are the errand transaction? These are some unreplicated transaction already existing on the replica side only. Or let's say you did some like as the Chaudhary was saying that I wanted to do some changes on the replica. So you did some changes on the replica. What you did is here is you caused an errand transaction. Okay. uh, it will not stop your replication because these are not errors. These are not SQL errors for the MySQL. These are just errand transaction which should not be there. Okay. It causes problems when uh, your replica becomes your master. But if it is the replica, it will not stop the replication. It will just tell it is just telling you that yeah, I have an errand transaction and it should not be there. You have to solve it. So it happens that data is not the same on all the nodes because you did some insertion on the replica side and the master doesn't have that data. Okay. So and the cluster is no longer consistent state. Yes, the cluster will be not inconsistent because some GTIDs are on the replica side which is not on the master side. Or obviously you did the transaction only on one replica and the other one didn't have them. So there is some inconsistencies in the whole replication group. So how you can do it, how we can check them? You can compare them, compare the executed GTID set between primary node and the replica node, and then replica has more GTID set, okay, than primary, then that's an errand transaction. If the replica has more GTID set than primary, then it is called a errand GTID. So how we can find the errand GTID? MySQL provide us with the GTID what do you say, two function, yes, two SQL function, and which is GTID subset and GTID subtract. With subset you find that the replica is a subset of the master or not. Okay. How we do it? You can like change these values, but I like it this way. And like I put the GTID executed from the replica, okay, and then the whole set. Okay. From where you get the set, this is your set, this values, and this is my second set. So what I do is that I put first one is the replica and the second for the primary, and then I check if it is true. Like if I say that, then it's okay. If it's a subset, then it's okay. But if it comes as zero, then it means that oh, we have a errand transaction here. So and then we have to what to do. If we find out that we have an errand transaction, then we have to find which is the transaction. So when you find that for to finding that transaction, we will use the GTID subtract. Okay. Once you do that, then we will have a particular set of GTID, okay, which we will have to skip. Sorry, which we will have to execute on the either master if the master is available, and then how we that is how we can solve the problems. Okay. So yeah, I went for the show slave status. If you see here, uh, the retrieve GTID set is different, and we have this transaction. Uh, Here I have only one because this is a test environment and I did only one transaction. You can have multiple transaction as well. Okay. And so this is that is why it is very simple, but it can be complex in the production environment as well. But still, these two functions save us. So this helps. There are some automation as well. MySQL provides some tools to identify your end transaction, and the best tool is orchestrator. Okay. Orchestrator provided is a tool which can help you solving this issue. It like whenever errand transaction is there, it is going to pop up a notification. It is tell you that you have an errand transaction, so learn orchestrator. If you don't have learned it, it is a part of my orchestrator of my course, and I'm soon going to release that as well. Okay. So the next one is we have is the GTID subset, if it is subset or not. So what I did here is that I took only these two. Obviously the I took GTID set here and I didn't pick this one. So yes, if you check this here, from 170 and 188. Okay. So yes, it is a subset, but this mean that on the replica side, because this is the 170 is the executed side, so 170 means that there are still some transaction to be executed. That is why it is it comes as one. But what I mean is that it's a subset, so it's a subset. What happened if it is not subset? Okay, it is okay, it just shows that you guys, in our case it is not. So let's say uh, I went for another one. I took the second part as well. If you see here, here I took the whole. You see here we comma here. So I take the whole subset, and then I took the second, the GTID from the master as well. Here, starting from here to here, this is for the replica set, and from here to here, this is the GTID retrieve, or you can check this from the master, show variable GTID executed from the master as well. It will, you will see the same thing. So yes, it is not a subset, because we have this from 9AD to 1, we have a different one. So now we know that okay, this is not a subset. Then there is some errant transaction on the replica, and we have to find it. How we will find it? As I told you, we will use the subtract. Okay, so select GTID subtract and put the replica side one. Okay, GTID executed set from the replica first, and then GTID executed retrieve GTID. Okay, or you can get the executed GTID from the master as well. So you can get that as well here. So as errand transaction, so now we know that this is the errand transaction, because this one. Okay, this, because I know this is a slave UID, because I executed this on the slave. If you see here, from here to here, and on from executed GTID set as well, this is same. These are the master one, and this UID is different. So obviously, if they're different, then it is from the replica side. This is how also you can identify. But obviously, you are going to have a huge GTID execution set in the production environment. So the best thing is to use GTID subtract. So now we have a result set we have is that this is our errand transaction. So now we have to skip this one from the master. So even though if you check, go for the if you want to check what is this errand transaction. Okay, you got the errand transaction, and you want to know from the binary log file of the slave. Okay, because this was executed on the slave. From the UID you can identify that this is this thing is executed on the slave. So check the binary log file, this binary log file, and if you see here, the same GTIDs. Okay, and if you see here, this was the command which was executed on my replica. So now we need to fix it. How we can fix it? There are two ways. Insert an empty transaction, remove the GTID from the binary log file, and then what we can do next is that restore the data from the primary. Let mean you have to take the fresh backup and reset your database. How we can insert an empty transaction now, as we have the errand transaction, is the same case. Okay, but here you have to do it on the master side, because everything is fine. You will have to execute this on the master. Set this, okay, to the same errand transaction on the GTID side. Okay, put set GTID next on the master, next equal to this, and then begin commit and set GTID next is equal to automatic. And if you see here, we inserted this on the master. So if you check select GTID executed on the master, you will see that this empty is there. So now if you go again for the subtract or subset function, your value will be 1. Obviously it is going to be true, so it will be a subset. So that is how you can get rid of the errand transaction. And if you don't set the set GTID next equal to automatic, if you try to insert only on that session level, you are going to get this error. Okay, you must set your GTID next equal to automatic. Don't worry, it is only a session level. Okay, if you forgot this and you kill your session or you leave your session, the rest of the database will be working fine. It's not going to stop your master. Nothing is happening to the application. Everything will be fine. It's just that we are uh, like getting rid of this one transaction GTID set. So it is safe, and you can do whatever you want to do. Okay, yes, we did the, yeah. If the master is down, what happened if the master is down? Then obviously due to some reason master went down, and then okay, when you went for you wanted to have your new master server up. And what happened here is that when you are trying to make it the master, you got some problem. We have an errand transaction. So to solve that, what you need to do is that you have to stop the slave and everything here on each server. uh, you will not insert this on the server where you got the problem. Okay, so what you need to do is that you have to do this empty transaction on the other slave servers where this transaction is not available. Okay, you will do it on all other slaves, and then you can solve it. I think the stop and the start slave is not required here, but in case you already promoted one, and you can do it on the slave side, because in the new master it was already there, so you can put it on the slave, this empty transaction. How you can remove it from the slave side, sorry, from the binary log file, is just that you tell your replica that, okay buddy, uh, what we need to do here is that I'm going to tell you that till this GTID I have purged. Okay, these values are not available in the binary log file, so stop asking it from the master. Okay, it's not there. So what I'm going to see here on the primary, because uh, I want my replica to be the same as, if you see here, here retrieved 182 to 188, and there is one. But here if you see here 1-2, so there are two transactions here, which should be sorry, one is already there, but another one which is the errand transaction. But what I'm going to tell my uh, replica, that I'm telling you that till this position you have already got everything, and you are not going to ask for this one, this transaction. So what we do here is that we stop the slave, we reset the master. Okay, what reset master does, that it is going to swipe the GTID executed. So if you reset it, then it is going to empty everything, but the data will be still there. So now we can and the change master variable is still there, and the password is still there, it still knows which is my host, and it just need the position to start again. Okay, so what we are going to here is, and the master auto, and the auto position is still equal to 1. So it's only purging, it's only like going to truncate this value. Okay, global GTID executed, and then we will set it to the what we got from this one, from the master. Select GTID executed on the master side, this value. Okay, and we will going to like set GTID purge equal to that value we got from here, from the master. Select GTID executed, and then we will start the slave. So now if you see here, retrieve and both are same. It can be different, but it's still the same. It can be different on your environment where you have the master still running, because so so that is how it can help you. So this is how you remove it from the binary log file. Like, it's not removing from the binary log file indirectly, directly, but it's indirectly kind of. So we're telling him that, okay, these are not there in the binary log file. So this is how you should solve it. So thank you guys. I think that's it for today. If you have some question, you can ask me.